What is going on, Raider Nation? Raiders! Oh man, another big day today for the Raider Nation. Sunday, we secured the worst record in the NFL, and we are now, we own the first pick in the draft. And then on Monday, we fire head coach Pete Carroll. Announcement was today. I was able to sit and listen to the Spytech, what's it called, a press conference, and it's very interesting. Now let me bring this up for y'all right now because this is something that y'all need to know. But since 2000 and where are we at here? Like what, 2021? All right. These are the head coaches that the Raiders have had. And I'm going to use the interim label as an actual head coach, just because I realize they're interim, but they still had to be the head coach. But we have had John Gruden. This is since 2021, you guys. We're talking barely 5 years. John Gruden, Rich Bisaccia, Josh McDaniels, Antonio Pierce, and Pete Carroll. That's five head coaches, five men that we have trusted to lead our team in 5 years. And we're about to add a sixth head coach and in 6 years. Now, I'll be honest, I'm tired of it. I don't like it. The best franchises and the great franchises, that it doesn't happen. They might lose coordinators, they might lose all those things. As Spytech said, there's always going to be, changes, whether you're winning or you're losing. Look at what happened with the Lions. Ben Johnson is with the Bears. The Bears are now in the playoffs, and the Lions are watching at home like you and I are. And, so I get it. But honestly, for me, it's annoying. I think if we want to be a great franchise, we got to be serious about it. And we got to be able to give coaches time to build their program. Now, that said, just how things felt when hiring Pete Carroll, and all of this is hindsight, right? Because there was a lot of us that were excited about Pete Carroll, and if you follow me, and if you know how I am, I'm just a positive person, and let me just be real about the positivity in my mindset. And I'm gonna call a few of you guys out because y'all think I'm an idiot for being positive and just loving the Raiders. For a man like myself, to still be optimistic, to still have positivity in my heart after my mom just dying, after I lost my sister, after I lost my dad, all within the last 7 to 8 years, and being a Raider fan and seeing things, not work over and over again. The fact that I'm still, positive and optimistic about the team, the direction that we're going to head in. I got to give myself props for that. So for y'all that don't like it, I'm sorry, but get over it and get used to it, because this is who I am and this is how I am, and I'm excited for what's moving forward and what's going on. Because like I said, when we hired Pete Carroll, it almost felt like we got our plan B. We went all in and we tried to get Ben Johnson. We did other interviews, but it felt a little weird with Pete Carroll. And then it just felt weird coming in. You had an older coach with a lot of experience and a new GM. And then we kept the defensive coordinator that we keep keeping. Now, I love Patrick Graham. I mean, I wouldn't mind if he got an interview to be the head coach. But to be honest, I think it's time for Patrick Graham to go as well. Not because I don't think he's great. I know some of y'all don't like him. I actually like him. I just think he's had to deal with a lot of different people, as a DC. So I think I think it's time for him to find something better. I think he can be a head coach in the league sometime, and who knows, maybe he sticks around. But I think what the Raiders really need is just a fresh start, and whatever and whoever it is that they hire from this point forward. I'm talking to you, Spytech. I'm talking to you, Mark Davis, Tom Brady. We have to let this play out, because if we keep hiring people that don't work, then the problem is with the people that are hiring the people. And if they're not willing to step down, then are we just going to keep doing this over and over? Now, the bright spots, and this is, my personal opinion, is I think for the first time in a long time, the Raiders have a strong opportunity to hit on 3 first-round draft picks in a row. That's big for any franchise. In fact, that should be expected for most. Like, you miss on one pretty bad every once in a while, great. But we've been missing on all of them. And now I'm looking at Ashton Genty and Brock Bowers, and I was like, man, we get one more third-round pick. This could change the future of our franchise. So, yeah, it sucks that we just finished another season and that we didn't make the playoffs. And, I mean, we won 3 games in 17. Not acceptable. That's who we are today, but that's not who we want to be. And I don't think that's who we need to be when it comes time to putting our processes together to continue to build this team. So I'm excited for Spytech to have an opportunity to, put a coaching staff together. And I'm excited for him to do it with ownership, with Tom Brady. I know we're already kind of hearing names, Brian Flores, Stefanski, a lot of different names are being brought out. But I think right now, the great thing about where the Raiders are today, now that that season is behind us that we just had, now that Pete Carroll and the Carroll boys are behind us, honestly, it's the fact that we're starting fresh and we're starting new. And we're starting fresh and we're starting new in a much different sense than we ever have. We have the first round pick. That's huge. We can choose our head coach moving forward. Obviously, we got to interview and they got to choose us first. And I would imagine there's going to be a lot of coaches that are like, no, I'm not going to interview with the Raiders because I'm not trying to be fired. I don't want my coaching staff to be in that position. Someone out there correct me if I'm wrong, but I think head coaches' salaries are guaranteed, but I don't think all of the assistant coaches' salaries are guaranteed. So you don't want to put people that you care about, that you want to give opportunities to, in a bad position by taking a job that you might not be there for long. So I think that's something that the Raiders, and I think they know that, right? Like, if I keep messing up, I know I'm messing up, right? So I would imagine that Mark, that Tom, that John, Spytech, that they know. And the great thing about things right now for Spytech from a GM perspective is he's got a full year under his belt. He will now have a full off season to come in and do the things that he needs to do in order to put the people in place that need to be put in place. I love that he said that he's going to leave it up to the coaches to do the hiring. I think that's important. And I think that's honestly where Pete Carroll failed. Again, I love that he kept Patrick Graham. I don't know if it necessarily makes sense. If you want to keep Patrick Graham, let Patrick be Patrick. Let him do what he does. If you're going to bring on Chip Kelly, let Chip Kelly do what he does. Don't try to, have a thumb over everything he does. I realize that Pete Carroll has things that he likes. He's had success in the past, but he is 72. And I think his biggest downfall with this, and I don't mean this in a horrible, disrespectful manner, but he had his 2 boys in charge of coaching. The quarterbacks, the offensive line, the running game, and game management. But I'm sorry, but those are 4 really things that we really struggled on. And if you're going to hire, or if you're going to fire the offensive coordinator, I get it. But if you're not going to fire your own kids, I get it too. I had this conversation with my kids yesterday. I was like, hey, I love you guys with all my heart, and I want to give you guys all the opportunities. However, if we're working together, if you're working for one of my businesses on a few different companies, I will fire you if you're not doing your job. Not because I don't love you, but because as professionals, there are expectations that we have. And if we're not producing at that level, then unfortunately there are consequences. And when you get to the higher echelon of things, when you get to the NFL, which is the biggest, the baddest football league in the entire universe, you can't just be giving jobs to your kids. And if the jobs that they have, if that unit, if that core group isn't performing, you got to adjust, because the reality is, and again, I mean this respectfully, and someone please comment below, what jobs did the Carroll boys have before Pete Carroll. Like, who's going to hire them after this? Like, what is their experience? I don't fully know. I think I dove into a couple of them, but are they here only because of Pete? And I get it. Mark is here because of Al. That's different, though. This is head coaching. This is an ownership of a team. So super important to make sure that as a head coach that you're making the right hires. And it was just weird. And I don't know how you guys felt. Again, I said I was excited. In fact, I was wanting us to keep Antonio Pierce. I don't think it could have gone any worse. Now, looking back at this season, now we're just going to say, oh, it went great. We got the first pick. But, I mean, we lost more games. Pete Carroll's record as a coach, and I get it, it's only for one season, but it's the worst record that I see here since, Bill Conkright in 1962, I think, where he went 1-8. But for the most part, everybody else had an opportunity more than one season to improve. And the reason Pete Carroll didn't get it, in my personal opinion, is the stuff that happened this year. And I realize there's roster issues, right? There's always been roster issues. But how he did it and what he did it was just bad. It was like I could have coached the team to 2-11, which, by the way, if anyone in the Raiders organization ever watches my content, I would sell my businesses and join the team because I want to be a part of the Raiders revival. So if you're listening to me, I'll sweep some floors, whatever I got to do to get in the door. But I want in on this because I think the Raiders are going to turn around. We just got to do things the right way, and Pete Carroll screwed up his first season. The reason he didn't get a season is because the reality is now we're looking at the number one pick. We're looking at Ashton Genty, at Brock Bowers, the future of the Raiders, right? And when I say future, it doesn't mean we're going to win a Super Bowl next year, but damn, I believe we can compete and be competitive. I'm going to drop my win predictions again so y'all can talk shit on me all year if I'm wrong. But I don't really care. They're predictions, right? Weathermen have all this technology and they still miss on their predictions. I'm just a dude that wants the Raiders to go to a Super Bowl so I can go watch them. So I'm going to predict that they win games, But yeah, I think, at the end of the day, when I think about the future of the Raiders, the quarterback of who's going to be the quarterback for the next 5, 10 years, 15 years, and Pete Carroll, he's in his 70s, 73, 74 years old. He's not going to be a part of that future. Now, the dude is probably going to live to be 156 years old, and he's still going to be jogging, running, doing whatever he does. But at the end of the day, Pete Carroll was never a long-term hire. He was never going to be a guy that was going to be there for 5, 10 years. The intention was like, hey, we're going to compete this year. He said it. We're going to win a lot of games this year. We got Geno Smith. We got Ashton Genty. Yeah, we're going to win some games. I don't care what anybody says. That's kind of what it felt like. He's just, I don't care what the media says. We're going to win some games. Unfortunately, y'all made yourselves look stupid. And I made myself look stupid too because I thought y'all were going to win 11 games, Raiders, but you didn't. And then now I got fans on me, and I kept my 11 wins prediction the whole season as my pinned tweet. And yeah, I had people constantly, you still going to win 11 games when it was mathematically impossible, right? Like, come on. We didn't, but it was embarrassing. All of us should be embarrassed. Now the embarrassment is over. Wash your damn hands and let's go get this first round pick and then figure out what we're going to do with that. Again, big decisions coming. I think Spytech would like to keep Max Crosby, but also Spytech understands where this roster is and what this roster needs and where we need to go if we want to build a champion. Not a champion next year, but the type of team that can be a perennial playoff team that every year they're going to knock on the door. They're going to be there. We're at least getting a wild card. A Ravens, a Steelers type team, a Chiefs type team. I don't want to be this one-off make the playoffs once every 5 years, because that's not how you increase your odds to win a Super Bowl. Now, you got to remember, I'm on a mission to see the Raiders win a Super Bowl in my lifetime. I'm now 40 years old. Time's ticking, Raiders. Mark Davis, Tom Brady, Spytech, I'm looking at you. Time is ticking. It is time to do something that is going to bring excitement to it. Now, for me, and I know I talked about my boy, Max Crosby back there. I was able to get a signed jersey, and it was awesome. But that's going to be the talk that's going to dominate outside of the new head coach, depending on who we get, as our head coach. But something that does need to be considered is, are they going to keep him? In a perfect world, we do. I just don't know if we can, and there's going to be people that want Max Crosby. So going to be interesting to see what happens. I got my money on Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones right now reminds me of Al Davis in his final days. God rest his soul. Carol Davis as well. May y'all rest in peace. Love you guys, But towards Al Davis's final years, he started making more desperation moves because he wanted to win one more time, And I love that that's how he was until the end of his life, Unfortunately, it didn't happen, but it did cause him to make some crazy moves. I think that's where Jerry Jones is right now. I think he knows that his window of opportunity is closing, and adding a player like Max Crosby to a line that already has, is it Quinnen Williams? I forget the guy's name that they got at DT. He has the ability to really build a formidable defense by just trading those first two first round picks that he has. I think it's 12 and 19. Now, it would break my heart. I ain't gonna lie. I might even get a tattoo that says Max on it if they trade him. But if it gives us an opportunity to get picks 12 and 19 on top of picks number 1, hey, Mendoza, offensive tackle, and the number 1 wide receiver, I'm good. We're set. We have everything we need on offense at that point, right? Number 1 wide receiver, amazing tight end, amazing running back, quarterback, and an offensive tackle, plus the guys that we have now, sold. Yes, our defense is going to need help, but it's needed help for a long time. So, super interesting. There's been a lot of different candidates that have been brought up. There's going to be a lot of candidates that are available. Today, I'm not going to sit here and try to, guess who we get. I think Brian Flores was a name. Again, I mentioned Kevin Stefanski, which he intrigues me. The Browns screwed the pooch. He was coach of the year 2 different years. 2023 was the last year he was coach of the year. Now he's fired, right? I want to say this one more time. The fucking Browns had a dude that won coach of the year twice. We ain't have that and haven't had that in a long time. That's what I want this year. I want a damn coach of the year. And I think we get him. I think for the first time, we're going to have an opportunity to get him. Last year was, again, hired Pete Carroll, new GM, new changes, new ownership, a lot of moving parts. We don't have that this year. Ownership, GM's in place, first round, first overall pick. That's huge. So this is a transition. And honestly, I don't think this is even a full reset. Even if we do trade Max Crosby, I don't think this is a reset, because the core and the foundation of the players that we have today and that we're going to continue to add in 2026 started with Brock Bowers, right? It started with Brock Bowers. And he set the tone for what a rookie should look like. And I realized that Ashton Genty, he didn't have... I don't believe he had a rookie of the year type of season. But his season itself, you guys, was actually super impressive. As we're looking through his numbers as a receiver, just overall in general, I mean, the dude ended up with what do we got here? 975 rushing yards, so just under 1,000 yards. Only 5 rushing touchdowns, but you're 2-11, or you're 2 15, 3 and 14, right? Like, you're not going to be running the ball a lot in the fourth quarter. A lot of times, the game plan had to change. And let's be honest, we weren't blocking for him. I'm so glad he stayed healthy, though. Like, how cool is that? The dude had 266 rushing attempts. That's amazing. 55 receptions, over 300 touches in his rookie season with a bad offensive line. And he played every game. That guy's tough. Averaged 3.7 yards per carry. He was averaging, what is it, per catch? Yards per game, 20. But the fact that he was able to get, over 1,200 yards total for the season, 10 touchdowns, considering the situation that we were in, I'll take it. Not quite like a Brock Bowers season, but I don't think that was possible for a running back. If you're a receiver, if you're a tight end and your team is not good and you're behind a lot, you're probably going to have a lot of opportunity, especially when you trade away your best players, I'm excited. This is a new era. I'm not going to call it a reset. It's a new era because the reality is, like, we're continuing with a lot of the core people in the building that are going to help us move forward. Again, don't want you guys to think that my main thing this year is going to be to trade Max Crosby. I just think it's finally going to happen because his value is still at an all-time high, and there's a lot of teams sitting there that have first-round picks, multiple first-round picks this year and next year that could use him. So, and I do. The thought of walking out of 2026 with a QB1, solid, elite talent, first round offensive tackle to play right tackle, and a number one wide receiver. You guys, I don't know. That's hard to say no to. Now, could we execute it in other ways? Maybe. But right now, that just seems like the thing that's going to be. And all these reports, I don't know where they're coming from. I'm sure Max, which I love his podcast, will address it. But it's been weird for him. And I think for any player that's elite, that's turning the corner into their 30s, especially someone like Max, man, like, he's had to see some shit. He saw everything, right? From the time he was drafted, from, everything from the John Gruden deal, from Rich Bisaccia not being retained, from, Henry Ruggs, from Josh McDaniels being brought in and him just being a different kind of cat, to AP coming in and them, talking about AP and wanting AP. And then AP, in my opinion, I don't think he got the opportunity. He got the opportunity to be the coach, but just like Pete Carroll, you got to be the head coach for at least 2 full seasons in order to make an impact on what you're doing. And with the Raiders, it might take 3 full seasons to make this work because, man, when I look at this team, our overall, record over the last few years, it's depressing. But when I look at John Gruden as an example for a head coach, and this is why I'm going to say, like, this is what we should have done, with John Gruden. So 2018, okay, and this is, and for me, I'm just gonna be like totally honest with you guys. I'm just kind of seeing how we're doing here, record wise, with the schedules and the results for the Raiders in general. And I believe John Gruden was coaching us back in Oakland. Isn't that crazy? He was one of our final coaches in Oakland. You forget that. I attended a lot of games in Oakland, especially the last season. So we did it right with John Gruden. That was the point of what I was saying. And I hope this is the kind of patience that we carry with any new head coach. In 2018, he went 4-12. In 2019, he went 7-9. In 2020, he went 8-8. And this is the conversation that I had with someone on Twitter about that whole situation. Is John Gruden didn't have a winning season with the Raiders. The last season before he had to resign, he was 3-2. But before then, 4-2, 7-9, 8-8. On top of that, he traded Khalil Mack. He traded Amari Cooper. He decided not to take on Tom Brady as a coach or as a quarterback, and then I think he could have had Gronk and Tom Brady the year before Tampa Bay won the Super Bowl, and he said, "No, I'm sticking with Derek Carr." Um, that hurts a little bit. But the fact that we were able to keep him for 3 full seasons, despite a horrible track record at team building, but what we did see from that team that he was building, even though it was full of draft picks that were failing, that weren't starting, that weren't working out the way we wanted to, with free agents that weren't working out the way we wanted to, the team was improving. Every season, the team was getting a little better, and it culminated in 2021 when they made the playoffs without him. And that's not, that's not because we drafted so well. That's not because we hit free agents so well. And I'm going to give John Gruden credit. I think he's a phenomenal coach. And he wouldn't be a guy that I would be upset if he ended up coming back to the Raiders, which might be worth talking about a little bit more and why it might be a good idea to bring John Gruden back. But, for me, we have to treat every coach like Mark Davis treated John Gruden. He could do no wrong, and he was going to have time to turn the franchise around. And that's what this is really going to take. It's going to take a coach a couple seasons to really get us to the point where we can be competing for a championship. You heard me right. I believe that the Raiders within 2 years can compete for a championship, especially if we draft a quarterback, number one. So I think that's very important, for us, is to just give a coach time to let his assistants do his thing, let those players grow within the program, let a damn offseason happen, with the coach there, with the players. So there's just a lot of things that I think the Raiders are on the cusp of achieving. And it's just taken us a long time to get the right people in place. I like Spytek. I didn't think Telesco was horrible. The NFL is not easy. Everything from evaluating players to building rosters, it's not an easy thing. So you got to give those people props. But it was Tom Telesco that helped us draft Brock Bowers. But at the same time, we had a generational talent, best available, and we took him. And it took balls because we had Michael Mayer from the draft before and again this year. Genty. So we're gonna do it one more time, 3 in a row. It's just a matter of figuring out who our head coach is going to be. Raider Nation, I'm curious what your guys' thoughts are on who you guys want to be a head coach, on the direction that we should go. There's a lot of ideas that come to my brain. Stefanski is a guy that I'm super interested in. Raheem Morris is available now. Brian Flores was mentioned. I think he's worth looking at. I think we got to look at the Rams, the 49ers, offensive coordinators. I think it's very important if we're going to draft a quarterback to find a coach that's, that knows how to work with rookie callers, I'm going to throw John Gruden's name out there. I don't know if that's even a possibility, if they can do it while there's a lawsuit, but I would love nothing more than just to run it back one more time. But he is not allowed to draft anybody or make any decisions like that, because Jesus, bro, how you going to miss on 6 draft picks, first round draft picks in 3 years? Could you imagine if we actually hit on 4 of those, 5 of those? We wouldn't be talking about drafting number 1 again, So it's time. And honestly, you guys, and this is just coming from the heart, I feel for you guys as Raider Nation, because I'm right there with you. Damn. It's been a long time since we've had a respectable season. And it's been a long time since we could say that we have a team that has a legitimate chance to compete. Not from hope, but from the fact that we know that hey, we're good, right? The Chiefs and the Lions, they missed the playoffs this year. But I felt and I'll say the Chiefs haven't done a great job of building a team around Mahomes. But they had a realistic chance of competing before the season started. And it's because of everything they've done and who they have, and that's honestly what I'm hoping for, what I'm excited for. I'm curious to see what the interviews look like over the next few weeks. We have about 107 days, just over 100 days before the draft. So that's going to be intense. But man, Raider Nation, this is, in my opinion, a great time to be a Raiders fan. There's great things on the horizon. Again, I mean, if we really do lock down Fernando Mendoza and he becomes the quarterback that he can be, the Raiders, for the first time in a long time, will have a true franchise quarterback. And I think we have an honest to God chance of potentially building a Super Bowl contender within 2 to 3 years after drafting Mendoza. But a lot of it hinges on what we do with everything else and who we hire for head coach. So, guys, I want you to let me know, what you think as far as that goes. You're going to get one episode a week from me that's going to be over 30 minutes long and less than an hour. But when news happens, when something happens, I'll be on here and bringing in another episode. I'm going to have a lot of different segments as we kind of break this down. I'm going to do a petty one where I'm going to, feature some of my favorite ex people that I talk to, and I'm going to be able to show your tweets to me and respond to those as well. But if you guys have any questions, anything that you guys want to add, opinions that you want to add on the comments, I want to really make this engaging for the listeners. I was excited to see that y'all were listening to or watching the video from my first podcast, and I'm excited to continue to keep posting things online for you guys to watch and engage with me. Hey, we all want the same thing. We all have different ideas on how we're going to get there. So, stay positive and stay safe this off season. And this is going to be a big off season, you guys. I mean, anything can happen. Anything will happen. But this season right here, and I'll be honest, I think it started with Brock Bowers. But this season right here, with a number 1 pick, looking for a new head coach, we already have some elite young talent on the roster. This is the turnaround. This is the turning point. And this is going to be one of those moments where it's like, where were you the day that Pete Carroll got fired? Because that's the day that everything changed and everything started heading, in the right direction. So shout out to everybody who's watched. Again, comment any questions, whatever it is that you want to talk about. All this stuff signed. This is actually signed, funny story, by Damon Arnett, which is insane. This little helmet here, I believe that's Marcus Allen who signed this. So super cool. I love collecting Raider stuff. I love the Raiders. They connect me to my dad, and I miss my dad who passed away back in 2018. And he gave me his name, so I just hope that I can continue to honor his name, honor my family, and enjoy the ride of being a Raiders fan. It hasn't been easy, but for those of us who soak up the content, for those of us who still watch the games, even when we're losing, for those of us that continue to get up every year and have optimism, man, I got nothing but love and respect for you. The haters who are always negative and everything, I got a lot of respect for you guys too, because we're cheering for the same shit. So appreciate you guys. I'm excited to continue to make this podcast. I'm excited to continue to add some fun aspects to it as well. So have a great day. Raiders.